Ace of Swords, I really like the fact that, you know, that aha moment, that the enlightenment comes from the mind, you know, understanding a situation for what it is. And the others that I like, there's quite a few, is this one, because I like that this solution, or what helps you get the clarity, the swords, might be hidden and you might need to work for it, you know, to find it. Also, you know, taking action based upon what you find, the information. Also not getting, you know, not being restricted anymore, because as soon as this sword is going to be swung, I think, as I see, those are gonna, you know, those restrictions are gone. And the first blade, which can cause a lot of trouble as well, so you have to be mindful about how you use this information, or, you know, knowledge, what it can do to you and how it can transform you, which is a very interesting. I don't think it was very that much intentional, though I haven't read the guidebook because, you know, time. Okay, Two of Swords, definitely you need to listen inwards and not let outside forces decide instead of you, because, you know, those people, or in this case the ravens, don't know what's good for you, and you have to make the decision for yourself. There's quite a lot of other cards that I liked. So, you know, they are not there in reality. You can just these can be your fears and doubts, and you need to block them out in order to be make that decision. But sometimes the sides that are competing, or, you know, are at war, are your two sides. So sometimes the conflict is not coming from the outside, it's from the inside, and that's an interesting way to look at it as well. Also, some decisions have very heavy consequences. That's how I read it at this moment. And it can change who you are, you know, if you decide on one of them. I mean, if we go with the analogy of not always changing the face, but deciding which one to actually use from now on, it can be a big decision and something that carries weight with it. Or can be something completely different. We'll see. Three of Swords, pain, loss. I need my card to represent pain. Most of them are just, you know, a heart with three swords piercing it, and it's just kind of boring, because what do you get out of it intuitively? Nothing much. But this one is, I don't know, it just represents the pain and the feeling better, and that when you go through something like that, even if you put together your heart again, it's never gonna be the same, which is fine, you know, it's okay. And the other two is, this is an interesting Three of Swords, because we have the hand like this, and the swords are piercing that one and not a heart. So I've used this card recently somewhere, and what I took away from it is, sometimes you're trying to ask for help, being hopeful, you know, ask, you know, in the begging position, so to speak. But your pain and suffering keeps your hands tied together, so you can't actually pull them apart to do something. And the other one is, you can be the one who's causing the pain, because, you know, you just don't know. Could be. It doesn't look like that necessarily, but, you know. Or you can be a support system for other people who are suffering. Okay, Four of Swords. I like this one because there are a lot of cards who that depict that was hard depict the Four of Swords as just taking a nap, and I read it much more seriously. I read it as you know being under attack in a zombie apocalypse and needing to take that rest, because if you don't do that you'll end up in the Ten of Swords. If we're looking at the health aspect of the card, which I don't read for others, but doesn't mean I don't read it for myself. And that was a good reminder, but this other card was a very close second because of that feeling that even if you're being hunted, sometimes you need to stop, hide, and take a rest, take a sleep, or sleep so you can get recharged, so you can continue fighting. And it gives me that feeling as well. But in a way, it's kind of important to not let yourself get stuck in this hibernated state as well. Okay, Five of Swords. I absolutely read this card as being selfish, not necessarily knowing or realizing that what you're doing is selfish, but I mean, this one is quite obvious that this bird collected all the corns, and these two birds have nothing and nothing left. So yeah, being selfish, and that's how I read the card. And the other one that I find with this energy was this one, because this witch is like, oh, I'm the most powerful, I can make these swords fly or daggers fly, and I can finish this all alone, which very well could be true, but you just made that other witch cry, and this one is just sad as well because they are being left out, and you're being a witch with a B. And then not a lot left. The Six of Swords, which card tried to get away from me. Haha. But I found you. I like the aspect of looking at the dragon who needs to leave that scary place, because most of the time we look at the person's back because they're already on the move, but this is the hardest part. This is the leaving that's not good for you anymore, no longer serving you, blah blah blah, but being afraid that this is familiar, how you feel, what you can expect if you're in this tiny island or rock. And even though this looks so much nicer, there are the water is probably more shallower, or it's warmer, everything is lighter, but you're afraid to leave what you already know. And I think a lot of people are stuck in really bad situations because they know what to expect from those, and it's hard for them to take that leap of faith, especially if they spend a lot of time in this one. And from the Oakish and Thorn, I really like this as well, that you have to believe and imagine that you can leave. This is a more hopeful or already in the move kind of deck, and this was interesting because it's also a reminder that sometimes when you're leaving a situation like that, you need to do it, so to speak, secretively, so that you can be safe. Sometimes leaving a situation, even if you're just doing that mentally, you're not, it's not safe for you to be open about it. You just need to start distancing yourself from people. Sometimes it can be like that as well, and I think it's a reminder for that. So but I forgot to add this one because I really like this card depicting the importance and seriousness of a Six of Swords situation, because sometimes you only have just half a boat and a lot of piranhas in the water, but you just know that you have to go because the situation is no longer bearable for you. So I like that card. It's a more serious one, a more grim one, but sometimes we need those reminders. So that was the Six of Swords. The Seven, absolutely being, not even sneaky on this picture, just being like completely disregarding everybody and just openly knowingly doing something, because with the Five of Swords you not necessarily know that you're being selfish. Here you just know and you just don't care. And there's only two cards for this one. And one of them is he's running away, seeing the other creature left behind, and still choosing to taking away these pins, because that's more important than staying behind and helping. And this one is a very interesting one because it kind of looks like an audience member sneaking into the circus and taking away the sword that he saw during a performance, because it looks so shiny, and he wants it because it looks magical. Or it could be the page as well, but I kind of get the feeling that it's more about being an audience member. Or it's the page taking away the knight's sword, taking away something that's not theirs. But I think this is the most obvious card ever about this this card. So, Eight of Swords. I think this is my favorite because this shows the clearest and the most obvious way that the fears we are talking about when we pull an Eight of Swords is all in our heads, and we're the only ones who can, get out of it. And that doesn't make it any less serious. It doesn't make it any easier to deal with them, but it is also, but it's a good reminder that we didn't do that. And this one is an interesting one, because a different one, because we have this skull coming out from the shadows, from the storm, and there are swords, 8 swords here, and it's more about protecting and attacking this. But this is just a sword, just a storm, so it's kind of, for me at least, it talks about the perceived enemy, because it's not an actual real skull, it's not that itself, it's just a storm, but we're in a state where we see enemies everywhere and problems everywhere. Okay, Nine of Swords, also again a very good one. I think the nightmares and how they can hurt us and how they are not real but feels real are very nicely depicted in this one. And I just like how the teeth are swords. But again, it's not easy to experience something like that. And this person especially, it looks like she's sleeping. But yeah, it's not fun. You can't really sleep because when you sleep you have nightmares, or if you're staying up then you get exhausted and you just can't function properly. So yeah, sleepless nights, definitely. The Ten of Swords, I read this card as not just literal death, but I really like that. So I don't read it as an easy card, and I don't just look at it like, oh, it's the end of the cycle and there's gonna be a new one, because for some there's not gonna be a new one. Sometimes things end, and when I pull this card, it's usually that state when you feel when you hit rock bottom. And when you hit rock bottom, you don't really feel like thinking about how it's gonna be better a month or 2 months or 2 weeks or whatever from now. So, and like I said, literal that. So for me, this worked as well. And I know a lot of people don't read it like that, but this is my deck in a way. But I really appreciate this aggressive, angry state, because sometimes you just feel like when you're, cornered, you feel like, okay, I don't care anymore, and you're just gonna attack everything and everything that moves because you're so fueled up with rage and anger. And that's an interesting place to be as well. Not a good place to be. So it's kind of interesting that this deck depicts the Ten of Swords like this. I don't know the meaning, but I'll see. And this is on the more positive side, because even though, yes, the whale is being attacked and there's 10 swords, but compared to the whale, those swords are not as big and they are not pushed inwards as much. So it's more on the experiencing pain and something really bad, but it's not as bad as, for example, this one. I don't think I have a lot from this deck, right? Page of Swords. This is one of my favorite ones, because these pages, how I read it, this is the detective, someone who's book smart, who's trying to learn life reading from a book. And I think it kind of gives that feeling that that she can walk. I mean, she was accidentally walking through the sword without even realizing. It gives me that feeling. Maybe the birds were like, oh, we need to take care of it, let's put the sword here. That she can get into trouble because she's trying to solve everything based on what she read or what she knows, using books knowledge, not being street smart, or not really being able to emotionally connect to a situation, and that can get them into trouble. And I kind of like this sword because she looks badass, but her sword is kind of big, and I kind of have that feeling that no matter what they do, they don't they try to appear very confident, but they still don't know how to use that sword, because it's more of a cane than an actual, because she doesn't hold that sword how it's really supposed to be hold, at least I think so. But I also like that she has a hot air balloon, because I love hot air balloons. And getting that little detective, and getting a person who is very focused on doing something with this one as well, which I really like. Almost done, guys, almost done. And I'm definitely going to post this in sections so we don't have to watch everything all at once, because it's gonna be long. So the night, I love the ice. I connect the season, winter, and the element, obviously air, to this suit. So even though she's part of the water, she has a beautiful, beautiful icy armor, and she's laser focused on the sword. She's ready to take action. Maybe she's gonna get overboard because there's a lot of water getting moved, but she's definitely powerful and moving forward. And that's what I like in this one as well, that he's ready to take action. He got the information what he needed, and he's gonna jump on this motorcycle and just run. And there's zeros and ones on the sole of the shoe, which is a very interesting extra thing. But I was just thinking, I don't necessarily see any arrows, for this. Maybe it's a different sort of bow, but I don't see maybe the arrows are here, which is interesting. Also very, very powerful, ready to take action and charge. And this one is more taking a stand and protecting against something. That I'm getting that feeling, which was interesting. I like this sword. Oh, I like this whole deck, to be honest. And almost the last one. Oh, surprise! I mean, I can't take it off without you seeing. But I was thinking about not choosing this one because the king is from the same deck as well. But I love her, and I love how it shows that she is not an emotional queen. She's gonna be able to judge the situation fairly, and leaving out the emotions, so she's not gonna be swayed by that. And I think it's a very good representation because she's sitting there, she's calm, collected, she's not like the knight, she's not, ready to charge. She knows that she needs to assess the situation before making any sort of decisions. And I like this one as well because she looks badass. I mean, this deck and the suits, court cards in this one for the air element, I think it's just wonderful. And she's the ice queen. Like, look at that. And you wouldn't mess with her. But at the same time, I'm still getting that feeling that this card has, that she's, she's gonna be just. She's not, vengeful. And I also love her eyes and her face because she gives off that kind feeling. She is ready to, take the sword out and go into battle if needed, but she's gonna listen to you when you want to explain something first. And we have I kind of like her expression. I think that's why I chose her, because she's like, I'm gonna kick your ass. And for some reason, Tanji comes to mind when I look at this Queen of Swords. I don't know if she will ever watch this video, but this Queen of Swords makes me think about Tanji, which is a good one. And how can I leave her? She's that kind of grandma that you don't want to mess with. So yeah. And the last one is the King of Swords from the same deck, the Lightseers Tarot, because I don't know, it was kind of a hard thing to choose a good one, and the alternative one is one of them from this deck, but he kind of looks like David Bowie, and I know that a lot of people like him, but I was never a big fan, so I don't know if I like this connection or not. I don't know enough about him, to be honest, and like I said, I wasn't a fan ever. And I have the funny, also funny with the grandma. So I kind of, he was the only one that I liked that suited this king energies, which was kind of interesting because most of them were just old and I don't know, just old. He's cool, and I look at the King of Swords as someone who's cool, but my own thing. So this is done. It's all done, and I can't believe it. I'm gonna record an intro and explain that I'm gonna cut this thing into pieces. I'm gonna stop the video here and count all the cards, though I think it's the Lightseers that's winning, but let's see. Okay, so yes, definitely the Lightseers is a winner, so no wonder this deck is part of my all-time favorite decks, because I have a lot of cards that I just absolutely love, and they made it into this giant composition. I have 7 from the Smoke, Ash and Embers, and I didn't count the lights here, so 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's 16 cards from, which is nice. From the lights here, 7 from the Smoke, Ash and Thorn, 5 from the Raven's Prophecy, 8 from the Mermaid Tarot, and another new one, but 7 from the Hidden Realms Tarot, which I'm not surprised. I'm surprised. I don't know. I'm surprised because it's a new deck and I haven't, read the guidebook or read with it, but I'm not surprised because I knew that that's gonna be a special one. So yes, a big thank you if you watched all of them, all the parts. I'm gonna post them separately, so I'm gonna quickly record an intro to explain that, and I'm gonna put that in front of the first one. I hope this was interesting. Like I said, for me it was an eye-opening thing to do. If you ever plan on doing this, something like this, even if you don't record it, please do let me know, because I would very much be interested to know your, top deck, I guess, or top cards for each position. I don't even know how to call it, but yeah, I'm gonna just stop. I'm recording for almost, I don't even know how many hours now. So I mean, I have to go. And thank you so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment down below, because those all help my channel and show that these ideas, like this one, wasn't just, a crazy one. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Bye.